In my video Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Sucks, I mentioned how Battle of Gods, Revival of F and Dragon Ball Super introduced a lot of lazily designed forms for the Saiyans, and that it's really hard for me to decide which is definitely the worst. And for some it might be hard to believe that many think that Ultra Instinct was a mistake. I mean, on a superficial level, Ultra Instinct has everything that makes a form amazing. And it was built up since Resurrection F. It has a catchy soundtrack, which which led to some hilarious memes like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo being a badass, Goku being a badass, especially with his only one shot on or shirtless. Why would anyone dislike this form? Or rather, even if someone disliked it and the concept around it, why would they dislike it more, as much or even more than Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan, all variations included, Super Saiyan Berserker, all variations concluded, or Super Saiyan Rage? And the answer lies in those reasons given prior and more. To understand why the reason that it was built up doesn't work, we need to recall some of what Goku went through to this point. As a kid, Goku learned under various martial arts masters. He learned basics from his grandpa and Master Roshi. Those basics were important for Goku to obtain a basic routine in gaining strength and durability. Roshi didn't bother teaching his students any techniques he knows because he valued the basics more than giving them the knowledge of the Kamehameha. While Roshi didn't teach any of his students ki-based attacks, they did learn it eventually by observing Roshi and others in battle. On each other in battle, I meant. Goku trained then by the god of martial arts known as Korin. Korin's training was about getting the most out of your movement. In other words, don't make unnecessary movement. Goku unknowingly learned how to do that by attempting to get what we used to believe is a plot device, that is the free power-up. And Goku, being a natural prodigy because he's a Saiyan, managed to vastly surpass young Roshi's achievement by getting to drink the water significantly faster. After a few years later, and beating King Piccolo with a plot convenient power-up, Goku reached the Heavenly Realm and trained on the Kami for 3 years. And well, it was Pokepo technically. We know that training to set the basics of ki sensing, Goku learned to move without thinking and not seeing with his eyes. Don't think about dodging the writing, just dodge it. The anime did a better job, because the anime is the best, with Goku being caught how to catch fish with a fishing rod, while others like getting training from like Mutaito were questionable. I think by now you get where this is going. The first problem of Ultra Instinct built up is that Goku was heavily nerfed during the transition from Z to Super. Goku can sense ki and is difficult to catch off guard. Not only people that managed to catch off guard were at least as fast as Goku, but by the time Goku would sense their intent, he would have lost. And moments that come to mind are against Majin Vegeta, against Frieza, against Buu, and even the likes of Sans Shinlong, aka Ashenron. In Revival of F, Goku was given the weakness that his calmness, which is his strength, is his weakness. And the movie ends super pointed out by Goku getting one-shotted by a Frieza officer. You know, the Goku versus Laser memes by now. Super Saiyan God one-shotted Light Father. All for the sake of making Goku look like an amateur. amateur. And that wasn't the only time, because Super did that also in the other Universe 6 arc and exploited it during the Tournament of Power. Literally nobody's forced Goku to transform into Super Saiyan Blue to free himself, usually grabbing him into a headlock and such. And the one that people remember the most is when Super Saiyan Kefla, the fusion between two Nobody Saiyans that got a free power-up by the writers, knocked out Kaioken Blue Goku with one kick. It was all done to make Ultra Instinct much better than it should have been. If you recall, what is Ultra Instinct supposed to be? Well, hard to tell, because the definition can shift how the writers want to write Goku. Move without thinking, basically auto-dodging. Don't think about dodging the lightning, just dodge it. Does it sound familiar? If it does, it's because it's nothing new. The second reason, the second problem with Ultra Instinct is it's not original. Goku learned it from Mr. Popo. The difference is Goku isn't actually thinking anything unless the plot demands it. I will address the problem later. Another problem is that it's treated like a power-up, a transformation to be exact. And Goku gets stronger despite having nothing to do with what Ultra Instinct is supposed to be. How does shutting down your mind and dodging while anything and have anything to do with getting physically and mentally stronger? It doesn't. Kami's and Mr. Popo's training make Goku special in a sense that he can get the best out of himself in every battle. No wasted movement, no time lag in thinking about your move. While Ultra Instinct is just a joke, Goku just makes unnecessary movement. It's done in for the cool factor, but not because it's effective. Instead of taking advantage of an opening, Goku continues dodging until he decides to attack at random. And so there is that problem we have seen that played out countless times. People get annoyed when people compare it to moments of old Dragon Balls to Ultra Instinct. For good reason, because it's nothing special like I mentioned before. When Goku gets serious or a massive power-up, he is fighting as if he's in Ultra Instinct. In fact, every character does. What is Goku going to achieve by moving without thinking during the Namek Saga against Frieza? Actually nothing. Frieza with 70% of his power can block a Kaioken times 20 Kamehameha with light burnt in his hand. What advantage would Namek Saga Goku have with Ultra Instinct? Nothing. He gains the power to rival Frieza. His body would not be able to keep up with Frieza's speed. Because if everyone can master Ultra Instinct and dodge attacks, like against Jiraiya, then nobody should be able to win against Ultra Instinct, even if they have Ultra Instinct or another Hex ability. We know the latter isn't the case because of the manga. Moro didn't need to absorb Goku's energy or the planet. He won because he was stronger and Goku won down eventually. In cases like this, it's important to think about a plan, which is why Goku thought against Frieza while he didn't think against butter and cheese. Goku at this point of Namek had trained all the Roshi and Street Gods, and using that knowledge he came up with his own training routine and to maximize his progression. A reason why it's hard for me to believe Goku needs to be trained by Whis and Roshi in the manga about basics. We are talking about Goku, who decided that mastering Super Saiyan is more efficient than surpassing Super Saiyan, because as I mentioned in my previous video training Super Saiyan, he and Gohan progressed not only faster but had less issues with stamina, and it paid off because he performed better than Vegeta and Trunks, who had stronger forms and trained longer. And pains me to see people didn't find it fishy that Goku is oblivious in Super, gets caught off guard by the likes of Kefla. They didn't realize how massively Goku got nerfed. Perhaps most of them didn't watch Dragon Ball prior to see, but even if they should have caught on that. That is what I feel, at least. By the way, if you didn't watch original Dragon Ball, do that. Watch Goku train on the Roshi, watch Goku train before his rematch with Tao Pai Pai, watch him train on the Popo, and understand why Goku in Super can't be the same Goku we have seen in Z. But the real kicker with the build up to Ultra Instinct is that not only mentioned before, it was that it was only mentioned once indirectly before appearing out of nowhere. In other words, the fourth problem of Ultra Instinct is how it was revealed, and there are two variations so let's start with the worst. And the anime. Before achieving Ultra Instinct, Goku fought Jiren, circling through his Saiyan forms despite knowing that Jiren is stronger than Super Saiyan Blue. So Goku had the brilliant idea to use Kaioken Blue Super Saiyan and Blue Super Saiyan Spirit Bomb against Jiren, a pure-hearted being, in a battle royale, forgetting that he can be ambushed by multiple times already. He managed to not be disqualified, as expected, the attack was pushed back towards him. Goku absorbed the Spirit Bomb and awakened Ultra Instinct somehow. Okay, how? What does getting hit by the Spirit Bomb has to do with the understanding to use Ultra Instinct? The closest thing I can think is that Goku's unconscious. That would explain why he went Ultra Instinct against Kefla as well. The problem is that it's incredibly stupid because anyone can exploit it, and it somehow recovers your energy. But Super made clear that Goku absorbed the Spirit Bomb, so that reason can't be the case. Nor was it hinted that something like that works. Goku didn't find any differently than he did previously in Super, and didn't train before the Tournament of Power, unless you count that short fight against Whis. So him getting Ultra Instinct feels unearned and out of place, which is why many consider the Spirit Bomb part an astral power-up. There was no real build-up like many other forms in Super. As the training to achieve Super Saiyan 2 had a large portion of the arc focused on it. Grade 2 and Grade 3 were made to be bad, to show that simply getting a new form isn't enough, which is why Gohan achieving Grade 5 aka Super Saiyan 2 was so special to many. He and Goku had to understand Super Saiyan as a whole before properly surpassing it. As a side note, that's why Caulifla reaching Super Saiyan 2 is disgusting. First of all, she went Grade 3, showing that she has no understanding and still gets these benefits for fan service sake. The incompetent anime staff don't understand that. Enough of the anime. Let's rant about the manga. Roshi of all people managed to gain a pseudo Ultra Instinct, allowing him to dodge blows from Jiren and force Jiren to block blows from him. As mentioned, Roshi having to remind Goku about basics despite Goku showing competence and a level of wisdom since Kaien's training is an insult to Goku's character. I made a rant about the chapter somewhere, but I think I will go a little bit in depth in a video later on. Goku then got Ultra Instinct for a short period of time before losing it. The manga did a better job with builds showcasing Ultra Instinct in action against the gods of destruction. But since Goku didn't really train to achieve it, it felt hollow. The Moro arc luckily fixed that, but the damage was already done, storytelling wise. We are almost through and finished the plots that built up the form. Now to the basics, like Goku, who has kept learning the basics. And first problem it is that there are two variations of Ultra Instinct. The first one is with Goku's natural hair and white eyes, while the other is just white recolor of the previous one. And both forms were introduced in the same arc. The black one is called Omen or Sign, which I will refer to from now on. The other is Mastered Ultra Instinct or Perfected Ultra Instinct, but I will call it MUI for short. And name wise it's simple, one isn't finished and the other is the real one. And well, we didn't see much of the difference between them, but is Mastered about Mastered Ultra Instinct. And number one, it doesn't last for long, likely because stamina issues. It has a toll on one's body. Goku can't use it at will. Omen does have stamina issues too, but doesn't last very long, and doesn't last very long either. But it doesn't show a toll on the body. Goku has shown in the mangas that he can use it at will now. In other words, he mastered Omen, so it makes no sense defeating the purpose to having two versions of the same thing. The logical conclusion I can think of, it was made to sell more toys. Why make one unoriginal form when you can make two instead? Yes, the designs are not very original. I like the concept of throwing away the transformations and taking advantage of your full power in base form, but we already got that with Ultimate Gohan. Changing eye colors and aura is hardly original. And the last issue with Ultra Instinct is the inconsistency. Goku doesn't think even when using Ultra Instinct, unless he does, because we need corny dialogue and dramatic starring matches. If Goku doesn't think while fighting, the way Super portrayed Ultra Instinct, then the form doesn't fit Goku. Goku wants to enjoy his fights. Ultra Instinct is like letting your friend play your favorite game 100% for you. You get nothing out of it. It's hard to say if Goku would consider it earned, because his body reacted like a board on its own. That is why Goku sometimes is shown talking or looking down on defeated opponents. He can't get the hang of the form he mastered, but later mastered the incomplete version. This is why I consider Ultra Instinct to suck. It isn't a weak form, it's unoriginal, and we have seen it before countless times. It's no different than Goku drinking the holy water before fighting King Piccolo. People call it plot armor because Ultra Instinct comes when you need it the most, when the plot demands, and recovers your stamina. I referred Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan as the laziest form. Ultra Instinct isn't a Super Saiyan form, it's just a very lazy form. In fact, it's two lazy forms. But unlike Blue, which is just a recolor, Ultra Instinct is rehashing things we already experienced but sold as something new. And to be honest, it worked. People ate it up, especially the ones desperate for more Dragon Ball. Just turn your brain off and enjoy it, is what I think when I think about Ultra Instinct. Goku just turns his brain off as Ultra Instinct beats his opponent for him. He didn't earn it, and it wasn't actually built up.